just find a way of getting rid of the background noise. So, okay. Well, welcome back to Andertons TV. I am the captain.
And I'm Digital John.
Yeah!
Digital John.
I've said it now.
Digital John. You know it's the Digital John day because I'm wearing my digital watch.
I've got analog on. What have I done?
See? And the streams cross. I don't know. Right. Ampero II.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Famous singer from the 80s and 90s. What did he sing about? I always thought the lyrics were something like Sense of a Woman, but apparently it's Sense of a Donna, which is some foreign language for without a woman. Duet with Paul Young. Before Digital John was even born.
Way before.
No, Ampero II, which is Hotone One's latest little compact multi-effects unit.
Yeah. You've
been messing with it for the last week or two.
Yeah, a week or two over Christmas, tinkering about. And basically, if you think about the Ampero I, this is you could see it as a one-up because now you can do stuff like 2 chains of signals. So this is quite a powerful little box because in the same way as nowadays with the multi-effects units, you can run sort of a whole band theoretically off a little thing, keep it in a rack. Mm-hmm. That can do stuff like this now instead of just being something that...
stereo in but discrete left and right if you want to.
And we'll go through that in a minute. So it's super powerful little thing. In terms of a few stats, it's got, let me just check my little cheat sheet on the floor here. 100 what they call legendary effects. So I know stuff like this is really scary for people because they think, oh, all those sounds that we know from all of this kit, is it just going to be a digital copy of it that isn't really anything like it?
Yeah.
But it has 100 of those legendary effects in it. So all those sounds that you're used to, it's going to be in here. And it also has, I believe, 60 IRs. Let me just double check. No, 68 amps, sorry. But in terms of cabs, I think it's got 87 cabs with 50 IR slots. So if you're one of those guys that has those IRs that you're like really precious about, you've got 50 slots that you can add. But again, for me, I just find one that I like and stick with it. In the same way as if you have a cab that you like, you usually just stick with that. And then for, what else? The presets, this is the one thing that I think lends itself to like a board pedal because as you'll see, it doesn't have a expression pedal on it, which some may see as a downside, but this on the front, whether you can see it or not, it's because it's quite small font, it says amp modeler / effects processor. So nowadays there's stuff like the HX Stomp that are sort of effects units in one and not necessarily a full-on signal chain from your noise gate all the way to your IR. So this could be essentially a really powerful multi-effects pedal or an amp sim that goes into effects and then into a cab through a power amp, that sort of thing. So the possibilities of what you can use it for are quite a lot, really. Okay,
what you heard in that slightly silly first 20 seconds of the video or whatever was me switching the routing of this Layla AB box from a 5150 into a vintage 34x12 loaded cabinet from within the Hotone, so it's its interpretation of one, versus a 5150 over there into the Boss tube amp expander, again using a vintage 30 loaded 4x12. So, and what we're going to do now with John in a lot of these videos is increase the number of real amps that we've got going through the tube amp expander, and then when we're looking at effects units like this, be able to compare its version of a Fender or a Marshall or a 5150 or whatever to the real thing. And I think you'll probably accept, even in that funny little first chug bit, although you can tell I'm switching between 2 sounds, it's not terribly apparent that one's necessarily a real amp and one isn't. So we'll go back and do a little bit more of that at the end. I think for now, let's just go through some of the sounds that you've made whilst you've had this at home.
Sure.
My feeling over the last 6 to 12 months of where you've had brands like, let's think, not so much a brand like Line 6, but a product like typically, Helix, Kemper, Neural, even Boss with things like, GT1000, where they've been sort of fighting it out up here, and you've had sort of Mua and Hotone, Zoom maybe kind of going, we'll fight it out down here. It feels to me like there's a conversion in the middle of going, actually, the latest Ampero stuff and the latest Moore stuff and that little Headrush MX5, you're sitting there going like, wow, you know, there's not really technologically a big difference anymore. Anyway, look, okay.
Okay, so this is what the actual unit will look like when you turn it on. We start off with this Ampero Strikes preset, which
what an unfortunate preset 001. If you had that on a personalised number plate, it would say something different. But there we are, okay.
We'll swiftly move on from that to Bank 99. And so an empty patch would just look like that, but for the time being, we'll make a patch in a minute, I think, and see how sort of first impressions, how easy it is for you, I reckon. That'll be a good test. But I made a patch called Easy Peasy, because it is just that. So if you look here, this is essentially like what we're used to now. You see a signal flow from your in all the way to your out. And these, if you see that dot there, that's called a node. And these can affect...
The dot, the red circle dot?
Yes,
or
on the top right there. That's essentially where you can split a signal or route it. So here I've literally just got like a series of left to right.
Normal mono block of pedals,
chain, right, yeah. Although it goes through the dynamics, drives, amp cab, effects, sorry, EQ after the amp, effects, then out.
Yeah.
Straight, I think we're going stereo, aren't we?
Yep.
Yep. So super simple, like the easiest setup you can probably do. But if I just went on a blank patch for a second, you'll see here, under this, you've got some templates of parallel.
Right, so that's where you literally have got your two discrete.
Go into two different outs. Split mix, so you've got going in there, splitting it, coming out the same place.
Yeah.
And I won't go through all these, but then you've got serial, which is what I did at the start.
Fine. So serial could still have a stereo effect at the end, but it's essentially one chain, like you'd have on a pedal board.
And
so serial is what you must have used for Easy Peasy, right?
Yes, yeah. So going back to this patch, use that, and it sounds like this. And I've gone with a sound that everyone knows. I think it's a JCM.
I think that sounds great. I must admit, this was such a... It was so important that we got Digital John to come and join the Andertons team, because it's like, if I don't have to do the faffy bit of working it all out and I can just listen to it, I am...
It feels great, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, I haven't made it yet, but it sounds good.
The low end, like, when I say feel, like... I don't know, the low end of a cab is different, but like, you know, you get that same response out of these monitors, at least for me, who doesn't really know much about the analog world. But anyway, so start off with the noise gate. This is called an AI gate, which I find quite interesting. And I've literally just, you know, if I turn it off, bit of hum coming through. It's not super high gain, but this has just got a threshold, and it's...
Okay, what makes it artificial intelligence? Has it sort of worked out something?
There's some algorithm in it where you just set the threshold where it cuts it off, and like there's no like bit of breath after it that's really annoying or anything.
Oh, that is cool.
Yeah, even if I put a drive in, so let's go for this first one. That's like a tube screamer. Again, this is, I set this sound up that everyone knows. So tube screamer into a 800. Does that mid-range thing?
You're not wrong about the... Do the thing where you stop it, because that's normally where the noise gate drives me mad.
It's so great.
It's good.
Yeah, it's amazing. So AI gate, dead simple. And there are ones you can tweak and stuff. But anyway, let's try fuzz and the TS. Noise gate
so you can, those blocks that you had, and I think there were about 10 or 12 blocks.
Yeah, there are 12 in total. So
right.
On the first row, that's row A, and then the row B is the bottom one.
And you can have anything on anything, or is there a limitation regarding, you know, maybe you couldn't have 3 delays or...
I'm pretty sure you can add as many as you want. Let's just try and add another drive.
Well, drives won't be the one that take the processing power. It's always, that's where I think Helix recently is, you know, they keep giving updates out of like better and better reverbs, but because they're not increasing the processing power, you'll find that you'll load one of these up and then it'll go, oh, but by the way, you can't have any of these other effects on at the same time. You're just like,
good point.
And I was wondering how much power is in the Ampero II.
So in this, if I
Zucchero.
Take my bits off here, I'll delete this drive. Handy little thing. You just drag it into a bin if you don't want a drive. and it's done like that. So nice and
The
simple.
touchscreen change now on, you know, for the last couple of years where you've been getting, you know, actually Headrush did it first, I think, maybe more than 2 years ago, but it is the future. I mean, we're all so used to using smartphones now and just dragging stuff around, aren't we? It seems so alien to go back to a menu-driven.
Right.
You know, you just want to go.
And for those guys that do want that, you've got this, which is like the main controller dial.
I mean, old guys like me.
And if you click it in, oh, sorry, what have I just done there? If you click it in, you can then scroll into this.
I see. They're all the different parameters at the bottom.
Yeah, so nice and simple, really intuitive. So if I put on my wet stuff that was already delay and reverb, I could probably add another delay, mono delay. Let's try another one. I mean, we're going to try just maxing it.
I just wondered, because if it doesn't max out with like 3 delays and 2 reverbs, one would assume you can go pretty mad with this,
I
right?
did manage to max it out when I was doing like a dual amp chain, I think.
Right.
Try 3 delays and a reverb, because why not? Actually, no, let's do 2 reverbs. Actually, there we go. Reverb's grayed out.
Fine. Okay, so at some point it reaches a limit, but we've got tons going on already before it maxes out, and that's pretty normal in most of these units.
But I think it's good that it stops you. It's sort of like having a bank account with no overdraft.
Yes.
So it's like, no, you can't break this. It will chill out. Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, I'll just reset this patch. And one thing I want to show you as well, in terms of using this on a gig, say, because this, again, there's many uses for this unit. If you use it on a desk, you probably wouldn't be using the foot pedals in like a gig format where you need it to be really spontaneous. But it's got 2 modes. So you can see here, it's patch mode at the minute or stomp mode. So you can set this up to go through patches. Only 3, which may be a downside. But again, if you're using it just as like a drive and amp modeler, you might not need more.
I don't think, because your bank up and down is, you know,
super simple.
So I mean, we say only 3, but that's 3 per bank, and then you've got 100 banks, so you've got 3. You know, so I think, and that's pretty normal now. But so what? And stomp mode is presumably within a particular patch. You then just assign 3 effects that you want to be able to turn on and off. Right?
Yeah. So you can get in between by holding it as well.
Oh wow.
Holding number 3, and if you go on edit, this I've assigned to the tube screamer, that one to the fuzz, and this one to 2 at once, so you can control multiple things at once.
So scenes as well as just
sort of like
stomps on and
scenes,
off.
yeah.
Wow.
So it's, you know, you could gig with that well easy. And
it's full MIDI if you did decide you wanted to use a bigger switcher, right?
in and out, yeah. So it can then talk to other things after the chain as well.
Let's get into just some sounds. Take me through whether we use presets or stuff that you've done themselves, but let me hear some, like a whole, from high gain through to lovely cleans and, you know, breakups and all kinds of stuff.
So I'll save...
I want that classic 1991 Paul Young Zucchero panpipe
all right, let's
reverb.
Let's go from that. Yeah, it's pretty warm and chimey.
Yep.
So edit. Oh, what have we got going on? So we've got...
Is that did you find it a bit annoying in that it's not the biggest touchscreen, the icons are quite small, and you know the icons are pretty much don't leave a lot of room for a slight chubber finger maybe. Was that annoying, or did you just get used to it? In the end?
It can be a downside. Like if it's on a desk and you're sort of sitting there like this, you sort of need to figure out where your finger's going to land when it's that small. But again, if you want to just click with that, it works the same.
Yeah.
So what amp do you want? Fender Deluxe type?
I mean, if you've got a Deluxe, because that's the other amp that we've got up there.
Let's go for it.
If you're wondering as well, just over John's shoulder here, we managed to find on second hand on Reverb a Deluxe Reverb head, which is what we wanted for the studio. So it's exactly the same amplifier as a regular, you know, 22 watt Fender Deluxe Reverb combo, but in a head format. So we're running it again into the tube amp expander and using like a 112 Fender Deluxe speaker IR.
Yeah. So let's find Fender Deluxe Tweed Lux. Incidentally, clean drive, high gain, bass and power amp selection. So you've got quite a wide range of amps there.
It's a
black Deluxe.
It's a blackface Deluxe rather than a Tweed Deluxe. They're slightly different sounding amps, but that's okay.
I don't know what real amps are. And the cab don't match up. You know, if you change
they don't?
it, yeah. So you've got to.
There's
make
not
sure
a
you're on
mode
it.
to do that because that's.
I should know that. I don't
well,
know
look,
that.
you know, maybe we'll see if we can find out from Ampero and annotate the answer to that on screen because
Yeah.
a lot of these effects units will preempt, you know, a suggested cabinet for.
And they do make a
for each
massive
amp.
difference.
Yeah, oh,
100, yeah.
huge. So what we're looking for then is a 112 deluxe, presumably, if you.
So you've got small, large, and bass cabs for your
Okay.
bassists. A what? Sorry.
It should just come up as a deluxe 112. I would have thought.
112 deluxe. So you've got Vox.
Yeah, so not there you go, black 112. If those of you that know the Boss tube amp expander, it has these reactive load settings, and the ideal setting for the 5150 and the deluxe is slightly different. So if you see me switching these, that's why. John has just set up, we found a blackface 112 combo in here. We've assigned the cabinet as the 112 speaker that would be in there, and we're using a combo spring reverb. Turned all the other effects off, so no distortions or anything like that. So the green light here is the real amplifier going through the tube amp expander with the reverb coming from the amp, and then the red light will be the Ampero's a version of it, and I think we've got all the EQ fairly flat, or if we haven't, we'll adjust to taste, but let's have a little listen. I mean, it's darker sounding, isn't it,
yeah.
the real amp? So if I wanted to, and this is, bear in mind, I've never used this before, so let's have a little quick look here. So we've got volume 20, output 50, bass and treble controls at 50, so halfway. And what have we got that set to?
So volume's 3, trebles at
Like 7.5.
Okay, well let me just adjust the treble upwards then to say 75. Is that 7.5 out of 10 or 12?
10.
10. So okay. Yeah, and then bass is, what's the bass on there?
6.5.
Okay, let's just match that up as well. And the volume was on how much?
3.
3. So we'll just turn that up a little bit and then compensate by turning the master volume down a little bit. Actually, I could have just turned the actual output down, couldn't I? Okay, let's just try that again. Let's see if they're. So here's the Ampero. It's still, I mean, if you were wondering, I just turned the noise gate off as well on the Ampero. I just wanted it complete, just the amp cab and the reverb. I always think there's more difference, I think, in the tone between these two models, but not necessarily, again, good and bad or obvious ones digital and obvious ones valve. I think where you picked that, I think, again, valve amplifiers have a very pleasant, smooth compression when you dig in like that, a natural one. And I sometimes wonder that, you know, trying to model that becomes incredibly complex and sophisticated. But play some of those heavily picked.
Yeah, they're way more sort of the same. Whether that's good or bad, they are, I guess, compressed, but. Oh, the Fender's super tight, isn't it?
That's what I think, because I kind of feel that's just like, again, that's not anything digital going on. That's just how valve amps work. And I think it's, you know, sometimes modeling a sound is the first layer to get right. And then modeling the feel and the dynamic reaction is like a whole nother level of programmatical sort of complexity, whatever, and I kind of feel that's where you'll probably still get die-hard valve amp fans going, I just can't, you know, so it doesn't become an audible thing necessarily anymore.
Oh, on that point actually, I should have said this at the start, and Hotone will dislike me if I don't say it. One thing you should do when you set this up is make sure you've got your input right. So about
Okay.
feel, obviously, if you've got a keyboard going in, it will react differently to an amp if you have guitar going in. So if you go on global, I/O, come on. Oh, sorry, it's on. At the bottom here, you can
guitar,
see
yeah.
electric guitar, acoustic, or line. So
Right.
you can use it for keyboards or all sorts, but keep it on electric guitar, and obviously right can have a different one, but that is on electric guitar.
Actually, and you had an output as well, so presumably
Yes.
if you're running it into a desk, you've got a line level output, but you've got
Yeah,
some
line
other options if
or
you're
instrument.
running it into a regular guitar amplifier, you
Yes.
might change that to an instrument level.
And then further along, but you can
Oh, you can choose to be true bypass or a DSP bypass. Interesting.
USB drive. It's literally got
So
tons.
it'll work as a audio interface as well then via
Yes,
USB.
yeah, I forgot to say that. And it's got one of those new USBs. What's that type of
Yeah,
thing?
USB-C, baby.
Yeah.
Woo!
So one other point, it's usually gold. So I love this feature, but you can change the colour of the display to, yeah.
Did we just choose red because it was easiest to see on the camera? It doesn't really matter, does it?
Sith red we went for. So
Okay, well look, do you know what? So we've only got the 5150 and the Fender plugged through the tube amp expander. So they're the only two we can compare today. Can we just literally go through, say, the first 10 presets of it
Sure.
that you haven't messed with, just to get a sense of how have they set those kind of amp models up?
Definitely.
I should say, I really like this. It's about 400 quid, and I said at the beginning, the 5150 through the tube amp expander is over £2,000 worth of stuff. The deluxe, we bought a used one of those, cost 950 quid. If you want a brand new deluxe combo, 1,500 quid. You very, very quickly start going £400, £50,000.
Right.
It's like it's not even a fair comparison. That's before we've even talked about buying effects pedals.
Yeah.
It's nuts value, and the sounds are good. So sorry, let's go back to.
So I'm now in patch mode by holding that. If I go down a bank, as you figured out earlier, just two at once.
Poo 3, Poo 1.
Poo number 1. Oh, sorry, we're on the Fender. There we go. I love it when they have a great first preset.
So
and
important.
Something that's not bonkers and just out of...
Yeah.
Yes.
And that, right, so I press the edit mode and that tells me effectively what we've got. Is there any sort of, how do I get back? Oh, back, right, here we go. Is there anywhere from here that I can just see what's the amp? Oh, I see, so the amp is called A4 amp, is that right?
Yeah, so if you go into control, this is where it gets a bit programmy, where if you want to use it live and set these to assign things. So current settings, foot switch settings. So foot switch functions, you can see this one will do A2. So A or B refers to the top line or the bottom line.
Okay.
So that'll be A2 on and off, which in this case would be, oh, sorry, Watford. Oh, no.
This is, bizarrely, this is probably, we might as well keep this bit in the video because I kind of feel, if you've got one of these and you are going to press wrong buttons by mistake and you are going to end up in menus that you didn't need to be. And I think to a certain degree, you'll know yourself, like, does that bother you? Or are you, is that start to drive you mad? And I think players it starts to drive mad are the ones that'll go, I'll just have my amps with the knobs on and I'll have some pedals on the floor and I'll stick with that, thank you very much. Yeah. And players that just go, it's just part and parcel of getting used to it and all that kind of stuff will be...
It's sort of like going, if you've been on PC for years, then you go to a Mac. Some of this, they do the same things and they're called different things. It's just like a workflow grammar thing you get used to. But anyway, so that was FSO2.
Yeah.
Foot switch. So if I went into edit, you could see that it was going to affect A2, which is the wah.
Oh, I see. And
you could deal with any of them. And then if I go back into this.
So A2 meaning line A,
number 2.
Second block, that's what it's going to switch on and off.
Yeah, and A would go up 6, so it would be, 12 inserts.
Yeah.
So we'll keep it in stomp mode.
Oh, I see. So that A4 amp isn't telling me that that's the amp model. That's just telling me the foot switch is going to switch off A4, which happens to be the amp.
And you can assign the
going
same...
back. So how do I find out what that amp is then? Is that I have to go into edit mode, then press the amp?
Give it a tippy tap.
Marshall 800. Well, that's pretty straightforward, isn't it? Okay, fine.
So... and we're in stomp mode, so that'll turn on the wah. Don't have an expression in a minute. You can see what that does. Turns off, yeah.
Oh, reverb and delay. That's good. So that's your.
Yeah, so they're sort of scenes, but two things at once.
This it's tap tempo, right? Because it's flashing,
yes,
presumably. Move on to Poo 2?
Definitely.
Okay.
Oh yeah, so for that you would...
Oh, I see.
Tap.
Slick drive. I don't like that one. Sweet Dream. That sounds nice.
That's your
I like
opera
that.
guy,
Yeah.
whoever it is.
Yeah.
I haven't figured out what all the translations of the legal names of these amps
No,
are.
I mean, it says Press Wrecker. Don't know, Press Wrecker? Trainwreck is an amp brand, isn't it? But Press Wrecker. Who knows?
Sounds great.
If that's usable. It's really clean and open, isn't it? You know, in the last videos we were doing, we were saying some of the older effects units had this kind of squished down sound. None of these new ones have that. They're all very pleasant to listen to.
I think they do have new processors in this, and I can't remember the anagram of what it stands for, but I think it's like FI.RE. It's like it's spelled out fire, and it means something more intelligent than what I've just said. But that's why they can do stuff like that and like run 2 chains of amps at once. So
okay, sorry, keep going. We'll go through.
That'll be the one.
What's this little padlocked green thing?
Great question, glad you asked that.
Great question.
Oh! Lock. So if you're an idiot like me and really clumsy, you can't knock anything, it's just these that can go on and off. And it goes red.
Clever.
One other thing, if you're using it as an effect pedal, if you're on a preset, so if you click it, it bypasses the whole thing.
Clever.
So just like a pedal, if you use it like that as well.
Okay, sorry. Juicy Fusion.
Oh. Oh, Dumble.
Gentle Dumble. Basic clean. Oh, I've turned both on. Hold on. I actually think whatever this basic clean patch is a better copy. Let's play a little bit again. That's inaudible, isn't it? The difference, actually, whatever amp that is, let's just have a quick look. What amp is that? A concert amp, whatever. Wow. I don't know, I mean, that's quite amazing. Do the attack thing again. Wow, I mean, we've got a lot more reverb on the Fender than we have on this patch. No, it's, do you know what? It's interesting. You see, that's quite a good example of it's not that this unit can't do a good interpretation of the Deluxe. Right. It's just that the way they've programmed their interpretation of a Deluxe doesn't end up sounding like the Deluxe that we've got. So you've just got to tweak and you've got to find until you go, oh yeah, it's actually just a different amp that I like rather than...
And like you can always say that every amp will sound different and like the one that Line 6 of program will sound different to the one that Hotone program. But it feels like the essence of that amp, which is really what any profile should do. Because
Brown Sugar.
It's tons.
I must admit that there's 2 or 3 of these units since we've shot videos with you. I think this and the MX5 by Headrush are quite standout, and I'm pleased in a way that we are now going to be just doing these little segments where we compare them to real amps. Now, again, it's not real amps into cabs and mics. It's real amps into load boxes and all that kind of stuff. So I get that still there might be some people going, I don't like that or whatever. But it does dispel quite quickly this idea that there's a big sound difference.
Not at all. There's a massive convenience difference. Like, again, that's why I went onto modelers in the first place.
Yeah.
Because it was just everything in one. So,
I mean, I'm just a quick rundown again of looking at the different ins and outs. So you've got traditional 5-pin DIN MIDI in, out, through. You've got USB-C. You've got stereo left and right input on 1/4-inch jacks. I assume.
yeah. It doesn't have an XLR, I don't think, does it?
No, but they are balanced outputs, so
Yep.
you could use TRS jacks. You've got a control. So this
Effects loop as well.
Yeah, but this control one, as well as being able to use an expression pedal in there, you can actually use that to add 2 more switches if you want to instead.
Yeah.
And then, like as you said, you've got an effects loop, which I assume you can position wherever you want it to be, can you, within the chain?
Yeah.
And what are the 2 little ones?
You've got an aux in, so if you want to put your favourite tunes, that's what they always say, isn't it?
Yeah.
Favourite tunes, and phones. So not a 1/4-inch jack, the small one.
Yeah, but no Bluetooth, presumably then, so you can't stream anything or do anything on an app.
No. The one section we haven't talked about is the loop section at the top here. And you can either operate it by touching all the respective buttons, or that's play, record, play, and it records up to 60 seconds as well.
Okay.
So it's quite a decent amount. 2 and 3, I believe that's overdub as well. 3 is just stop. And if you hold it down, flashes for deleting and overwriting. So if you were making tones, you can then record your part and put it in pre or post. If you put it in pre, obviously, then you can play and then tweak your setting in real time instead of having to play, tweak, which is really handy. Like
So I think, so what essentially, when I use a looper, normally speaking, I've got the looper at the end of my pedal board.
Yes.
So I would have, say, one sound for my rhythm sound, and then I could have a different sound for my lead sound. But what you're saying is you could put the looper at the front of the pedal board, so you could, you're recording like a dry loop, and then if you want to hear what that loop sounds like through a different amp or with different effects on it, you can do all that as well.
So in the same way as
some like reamping type vibe of your. Well, do you know what? That is the simplest way of saying it. It's just like going, where do you want the looper? Do you want it immediately after the guitar or right at the end of everything? And then that's cool, man. Well, look, I think we'll finish up by going back to that. We'll do a sort of an extended real 5150 versus the Ampero 5150. I don't think there's a lot else. I mean, I'm sure if you've got deep technical questions, you'll have to whiz on over to the Ampero website to answer those. But it's I mean, it's really neat and really small, isn't it? I mean,
yeah, it's a really small footprint, and I think it's good in some ways that it doesn't have an expression on it, because not everyone's going to want an expression for what they're going to use it for. So.
No, well, thank you very much, John. Oh, it also comes with these 3, what do you call these? Little mushroom caps that go on the tops of the things, so that you can, I don't know, I think it's for people who perhaps find hitting little buttons with big feet awkward. I don't know, but that comes with them. It comes with USB cables as well. It comes with, what's the Celestion bit? Does it come with a load of Celestion official IRs? Is that the deal?
Don't know actually, but
one would assume that's what's going on here. Right, let's 5150 up.
Let's go.
And let's see where we're going. Thank you so much whilst John finds that patch. Thank you for joining us again. Please like and subscribe. John will be on the channel every couple of weeks, basically doing what we're doing today with other bits of digital equipment. If you want to buy anything that you've seen in this video, including John, please, links below, and I'm sure you'll find a handy link to find it on the Andertons website somewhere. Have I filled in enough, or are you
almost there? I need to
time?
find the cap.
So here we go. Ampero II 5150 model into a vintage 30 loaded 4x12, mic'd with a 421 slightly off center, and then a real 5150. I say a real one, the 50 watt one, but a real 5150 into the tube amp expander with the same vintage 30 loaded 4x12 421 microphone slightly off center. See how different they are whilst Digital John plays us out. Au revoir. Red is Ampero, green is the 5150. Here we go. Bit of solo stuff.